Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so we are talking right now about crossed arms. I do this a lot. I do, unintentionally. And the question is this gesture, or what you're doing here, is it a sign of rudeness, like standoffishness?
I think, well, based on my experience in life, I think it can be either one, right? Because it's like if you're watching like a hip hop song, you know, well, like the cool arm cross.
Right.
But I can think of plenty of times when someone has just like, okay, like, I don't know, just sort of either judging you.
Right.
You wonder if someone has their arms crossed, you wonder what's going through their mind. At least I do.
It's all about body language, right? This is an article on Reader's Digest, and they are breaking down secrets of our body language and what it's revealing about us. According to the article, crossed arms can help someone stick to a difficult task because it works both your left and your right brain. It can also be self-soothing, this gesture to comfort yourself rather than block others out.
Oh.
And the other tidbit from this article is don't automatically consider it a negative sign.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I really think the one person that told me that this is sort of a standoff movement or gesture is joining us now. We have Jan Hargrave, of course, our body language expert.
Oh my gosh, Jan Hargrave, it has been a while since we've had you on Houston Life. Welcome back. How are ya?
It has been a while, yes, but I've been watching your body language every day and grading you secretly, so I understand what's going on behind the scenes. I am thrilled to be with you, and I'm so glad that Reader's Digest did this article because, you know, it is correct that one gesture could have more than one meaning. And we've always been trained, you know, to teach people that if your arms are tightly crossed, you know, this tight, it's letting another person know that you're a little bit intimidated right then, that you're not listening, that you're defensive. It is called a self-soothing method of ourselves to calm us down, but it can also have a plus. And the research does say that because when you're doing something by yourself, especially in your office, and you really need to think deeply about a task, it would be okay to cross your arms because, like Courtney said, it employs the right brain, it employs the left brain, so it makes you concentrate a little bit harder. In a business setting, it is still a negative, though. You may want to just sit this way for a minute and then maybe bring your arms around. The only acceptable arm crossing that we allow and teach really in college classes is when hands and fingers are visible. So if you're going to have to cross during a meeting to kind of soothe yourself or bring your mind back to task, make sure that you show one hand or two hands, because if one hand at least is showing, it's more that you are in contemplation and you're thinking about how to answer that question. So you're right, it has two meanings depending on the context of the way that the gesture appears.
This is so interesting. And I love that you talked about the classes because you work with people who want to be better communicators or who are on the verge of sort of a leadership scenario or a stage. And so we don't want to come across doing something that is going to in turn be negative. And that's one thing. I guess I was an arm crosser and it didn't dawn on me until we talked about it one day. And so I'm so self-aware of it, but it's really interesting how other things that we do, I'm a hand talker as well. I can't stop using my hands, but it's interesting just these little things that we do can be a negative task in a situation.
So you never want to do that when you're being interviewed for a job, because then you would look too standoffish and also that you can look insecure. But, you know, Courtney, you're so good that when you talk about using your hands, you have to use your hands when you're speaking like this, even whatever way you want to use it, because the fluidity of your hand motions kind of release thoughts in your mind and helps you organize the things that you want to tell others. So you can never just sit there real stiff because you will not be as creative as you could be. So using the hands, using the arms, I think is a really good thing.
Okay, but general rule of thumb, Jan, just to recap this, in a business setting, you would say try to avoid the arm cross.
Unless you need to get really deep in thought for a few minutes and you want to bring you back to the subject area, and then make sure that you uncross, because the more uncrossed you are, the more open you are looking to the suggestions of the other person. And then two, we have what's called the horizontal planes of gestures. When I gesture at my waist, this is called the truth plane. So if I'm talking with you and I'm gesturing at my waist, you more than likely are going to believe what I'm saying. This area here across my chest is called the passion plane. So if I need to get you excited about something, I'm going to gesture in this area. Maybe even on television, I watch weather people and they do the same thing every day. And so to get audiences excited, they're going to gesture in this area here. So this is the passion plane. This is a truth plane. If you want to be believed, gesture here. Underneath the waist, though, is called the grotesque plane. So you never want to gesture underneath your waist level when you're talking with someone in person. Thank goodness on virtual screens, you cannot see that, but they can at least see you from the waist up. So this is passion. When you get excited, you're going to gesture here. When you want to be truthful, you gesture at the waist level.
It's so interesting,
this
right?
This is fascinating, Jan. I'm taking notes.
Yeah. Okay, the other thing, and this is something that I talk to my boys about all the time, and you know I do this, eye contact. Huge. I always say, look, boys, you need to look the adults in their eyes when they're talking to you. Make eye contact. That is so important.
Right. Yes, because if you're giving someone good eye contact, they know that you're listening to them. Really good eye contact is a sign of courtesy. It's a sign of respect. Everyone wants to feel as though they have been listened to, and by giving someone good eye contact, you definitely can. So there's 3 percentages I think everyone should remember. 80% eye contact is way too much. 60% eye contact is exactly right. And 40% eye contact during a conversation is very negative. Because if you're just giving someone 40% of eye contact, they feel that they're not being listened to. They're feeling that you're wanting to leave the room, you're wanting to go somewhere. So the 60% is probably the best. And the best way to give someone good eye contact, is to look at them, but you never want to stare at them. You want to look at them, maybe look away, and then come back and look at them. So when we're teaching eye contact to college students who are interviewing, this is what we tell them. You can use the business gaze or the social gaze. And business gaze is that when I'm in a conversation with you, I would look at your left eye, your right eye, then the center of your head, your forehead. So eye, forehead, forehead. If I'm in a social meeting with you, I usually look at you, eye, mouth, mouth, mouth. If I'm in love with you, I usually look at you, eye, chest, chest. You never want to look at someone that way when you're being interviewed, but if you're uncomfortable looking them straight in the eyes, just make sure that every now and then your eyes will go up to the center of their forehead, and then it kind of relaxes you with your eye contact with other people.
Wow. Okay, I'm glad I'm taking notes because I'm going to have trouble keeping that straight. Jan, a couple more points to get through. We got about a minute left. What about standing with hands on hips?
Superman.
Yes, it's really powerful. It's dominant. It's confident. It's called fearless. We have a young lady statue on Wall Street, and she's standing there with her arms wide apart. Anytime you look like you're taking more space when you're in a conversation with an individual, you look like you are more powerful than they are. But you would never want to do this during a job interview because you never want the interviewer to know or to think that you think that they're better off than you are. Sometimes you just want to put one hand on the hip. It still, again, is kind of a powerful situation. But the elbow sticking out is almost as though you're invading someone's space, and they can be disruptive if you're in a conversation with someone. So it would be probably wise not to stand this way for too long. But I know that mothers stand this way when they want their children to listen to them. And I think it's perfectly okay for mothers to stand this way.
Perfect. I will continue doing it then.
Jan, you always have the best tips. And I think, again, just a quick recap, one type of body language could have 2 different meanings. And if you're ever negotiating, you want to either sit or stand at the same level with your negotiating partner. It's a great tip.
Right. Yes, it is. So if you follow those body language sequences, we call them good, the bad, not the ugly, but the good and the bad, and maybe sometimes just kind of indifferent. It depends on what is the context, what is the setting, and where am I using this gesture, and what impact will it have on the other person, because they can get an impression of whether they like you or dislike you by some of the body language gestures that you are displaying.
Well, we love you, Jan Hargrave, and all of your tips on body language. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you.
Pretty in pink as always. I know. Don't stand like that.